Hello everyone, welcome back to Wolfeei. Today we have a fun topic at hand, one that will be probably very short to talk about, but something that I guess should mention, because there's discussion regarding people. Certain players in Block Wars have a track record of doing very well in the event, namely Feinberg, Camman, and not as much relevant anymore in terms of Block Wars, but so does Rap, but he doesn't play that much. But Feinberg, Camman, main culprits of having strong teams. Can these players be balanced? Well, according to some people in the community, probably not, because there's a suggestion to do a occasional high comp event to allow for players like Feinberg to be balanced, as he is apparently too good of a player to have in the roster for the current Block Wars balancing. And I disagree with this. I already left a comment on this, but let's talk about it, I guess. As you can see, Feinberg, in his track record here, has played, excluding Block Wars Chaos, which we will not include because it is the most, like, non-standard event. Excluding Block Wars Chaos, has played 7 times and has made Finale 5 times. Block Wars 11 is not on the website yet, but as you can see from here, this is the Indiv board. Feinberg's team and Camman's team made Finale in Block Wars 11. So Feinberg has played 7 times, got to the Finale 5 times. Camman has played 7 times and got to the Finale 4 times. However, every single time that Cam made the Finale, he won. Because, to be fair, every single time that Cam's team made Finale, it was an insanely broken team. Fein's teams have not been the most balanced either, but it's like a little better, maybe-ish. Regardless, doesn't matter. Cam has 4 wins, Fein has 1. Poor Feinberg. But they both do qualify for the Finale quite a lot on a consistent basis. And this isn't necessarily like a big issue, but it is something that obviously should be looked into, because you don't want to see the same people make Finale over and over and over and over. Even if, hypothetically, it is your most popular players every single time, like Joe Bart. Over and over and over, seeing these people in the Finale is a little, you know, monotone. It's a little dull. It's a little meh. You want to see some variety in terms of who makes it. And yeah, the question comes, how do you balance Feinberg? How do you balance Camman? Well, pretty easily, honestly. Let me pull it up real quick. And here we are. These are the teams for Block Wars 11. Obviously, these just happened. This event just took place. And balancing, it's pretty doable, because I can explain why the teams ended up doing so much better than initially expected. On Red Team, which was Camman's team, you have obviously the insane duo of Camman and Purple. This was known to be a really good duo. However, people often say, in terms of balancing, well, Camman Purple was broken the entire time. That you're stupid. Everyone knew that was gonna happen. I knew Purple and Camman were going to get top 5, top 3, yes. It's not as if they did astronomically better than expected. I would have, in all honesty, expected Purple to be the top frag and Cam to be the second frag, but either way, it doesn't matter that Cam's the top frag and Purple's in 3rd place, right? If we look at these stats, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. I already expected that to be a thing, for them to be at the top of the leaderboard. Regardless of who their other teammates were going to be. It was going to happen either way. Obviously, point gap comes into play. The point gap is pretty significant, but debatable. Maybe that's just because other teams were a little bit weaker. Red Team was that much better, and Feinberg is Feinberg. So, you know, either way, the main culprits of why this Red Team was broken can be found in the 12 to 14 range right here. Anthos and May. Anthos previously had not even gotten close to this placement in a regular event. The closest Anthos had gotten to this placement was Rookies. So Anthos did better than he did in Rookies too. How is that the case? Well, clearly Anthos has potential that was previously untapped. Also, yes, Camman and Purple leadership comes into play 100%. That was a factor. But Anthos had some untapped potential that we were not aware of, and now we are aware of it. Same with how Prince Am initially was seen as like a mid player, and then got like 8th in Block Wars 8 or something, because he had a really strong team that allowed him to tap into that potential. And then May, we just didn't know how good May was. May was expected to get like 30th, not 14th. So it's a little bit of a different story. The reason why Red Team was broken is 2 things. Compared to every other team, Camman and Purple as a duo is by far the strongest, and in terms of how they can lead a team, it is unfair compared to other teams because they are two of the most experienced players in Block Wars, two of the best players in Block Wars of all time, and also compared to other teams, they are people that typically would like to prep their teammates a bit before the event starts. Secondly, we were ill-informed on how well Anthos and May would be able to perform in a Block Wars event. May is obviously a newcomer. It was just a massive, not even an oversight, it was just not properly being informed about their skill. Anthos was an oversight. We could have potentially realized that Anthos was able to do better, but I don't think anyone would have predicted Anthos in 12th. So that is just a very good performance from them. Yes, was the red team too strong? 100%, but the reason people are calling it too strong is not very valid. Secondly, Feinberg team, yellow team. As you can see down below, Demi subbed in for Mooney. This is a very big deal. I think some people are underestimating how much of a big deal this is for how this team can perform. Initially, this team was slightly below average, very, very slightly below average in terms of balancing with Mooney on the team. However, Mooney statistically is a bottom 3 player of all time, I think, in Block Wars history, whereas Demi is not. Demi had played twice before, once on a team that significantly underperformed during a rookies event, and another time on my team, where she ended up 4th fragging over Reinho. I'm fairly confident at least. So Demi has some untapped potential, has potential to not even get bottom 10, and during parts of the event, Demi was not in bottom 10. So this is a significant buff. Yes, could we have potentially found a different sub that would have maybe been worse? Sure, but Demi fit the team very nicely, and all in all, that team was a massive experience, great experience for the viewers. People called it really, really fun, and Demi fits really well in the team, knowing Shera, Boosfer, and Feinberg before the event started. So that was very well fitted. You can argue, did Feinberg's leadership help this team do well? Yes, of course. However, it was still a team that ended up being above average in terms of balancing because of the substitute. So that's why both Camman and Feinberg had exceptionally good teams this event. We had a massive oversight for Camman's team, and Feinberg's team got buffed a couple hours before the event. It is what it is. Can these players be balanced properly? Yes, and you'll see that going forward. I will guarantee you that as long as we are able to include players that are able to balance both of these players, we will. And I already have a plan for Feinberg's team. I don't know what Camman's team would look like next time around because it is a little bit trickier to work with Cam, as Cam is a little bit less connected within the content creator space. Feinberg is a bit more widespread in terms of connections, so it's a bit easier to work with. I have a plan for Camman's team. I think people will love it. Camman's team, I think I said Feinberg. Plan for Feinberg's team, people will love it. Plan for Camman's team, not yet, but we'll work on it eventually. Anyways, that's the question answered. Can Feinberg and Camman be balanced in modern Block Wars? Hell yeah. And it's not even that hard, especially now that we are able to introduce more players into the roster at a lower comp. It is an environment that is more comfortable for everyone to play in. And yes, it does mean that higher end players may have to sit out every now and then, but that was already the case either way. The only thing that's changed is that instead of seeing some of the middle tier players, you now see some lower tier players. That is pretty much the only difference as far as I can recall. Yes, typically you may see on a blue team here, for example, you may see either H-Bomb or someone else replaced by me or by another, or a Boosfer, right? Sure. Or maybe on the orange team, you would see a slightly higher tier player than a Greninja as the top frag. Sure, whatever, right? Or on green team, you would see a higher tier player than one of the more average players on this team. Sure, right? Sure. But that's not that big of a deal. That's not that big of a difference, and that is not going to affect how the event is balanced overall. Higher comp events are not something you should expect to come from Block Wars anytime soon, and I explained it down below. Main reason is because also it is a standout approach for Block Wars to stand out from MCC and Pandora's Box. Obviously, we are very aware that viewers love to compare events, and this is just a way for events to have a more unique spin to them. PB has a competitive approach, they lean into it, and they're succeeding in that regard. Block Wars is leaning into more variety and lower comp approach. It's succeeding in that approach as well. MCC is MCC. They can kind of do whatever they want, but they seem to be doing a bit more variety in terms of like how they're approaching their events. It's more custom, and that's paying off for them, I think, for the most part. So that's also an approach that works for them. Other events, try your best. I don't know. It's hard, okay? The big three is the big three. I don't think there's any debate on one of those three not being in the big three right now. It's going to be pretty high comp in terms of which events can compete. But we'll see how it goes going forward. Anyways, question answered. Can Feinberg and Camman be balanced in Block Wars with the current balancing of lower comp like Block Wars 11 right here? Yes, easily. We just have to take more risks. As in, like, risk that one of their teams is just guaranteed bottom 3. We don't really like doing that, but we're going to have to, probably. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you all understand, and I hope you had fun with this little conversation topic. Hope that answers questions if you had any questions. I will see you all later. Goodbye.